the next
Yeah.
movie that I will like to recommend is an animated one. So I'm a huge anime fan, and you know, I started my anime journey from Death Note, Naruto, and all those series I can name you guys, but it will
Dragon
be too
Ball Z.
long. Yeah, it will be too long. So the movie that stood from all those other movies was The Spirited Away. It's not about action sequences or it's just about a girl who's been lost in a spirit world. And the takeaway from that movie is that how far can your imagination go, right? This is what I love about animated movies, right? Because
Yeah.
the animation aspect can go beyond your expectations. And Studio
True.
Ghibli, I guess they even won Oscar for that movie.
Yeah, they
And
did.
yeah, they did.
2001, yes.
Yeah. In terms of animation, it's so beautiful. In terms of story, it's so beautiful. And the one thing I like about Japanese anime films is the storytelling is very unconventional to as compared to what is in Western and in Bollywood. It's very unconventional. For an instance, you think that the things that are happening are totally irrelevant. For a moment of time, you feel like it's totally irrelevant. But these are the moments that you need to enjoy, right? Like we talk about it, right? The movie, the scenery, the animation, you need to enjoy those moments. After that, the story carry forwards and it's move on. The characters that they have in this movie are really unique, and it's something different. So I'll love this movie. So this is my short take
Yeah.
on
So
and why you should
as
watch
much
it.
as you have recommended me anime, I don't think anyone else has. You always tell me to watch Death Note and all of that stuff, but
No,
I somehow have managed to watch. I have watched Spirited Away, and I love this movie. And you talk about the premise of anime, right? Unique characters, unorthodox storylines.
yeah.
ठीक है? मतलब awkward things, weird things happening. Let's talk about. I don't want. This is not a recommendation. I'm just drawing parallels between Spirited and the movie I'm talking about. The movie is called Porco Rosso. ठीक है? It's an anime movie. Porco Rosso. Porco means pig. Rosso means red pig. ठीक है? This is an Italian fighter jet pilot. ठीक है? In I think it's between World War One and the World War Two. It's between that period. He was in World War One. He was a human, right? He got cursed by some. He got cursed and he turned into a pig. He's pig faced. Okay, he has a man body and he's pig faced. Okay, talking about the uniqueness of anime, and I watched that movie on Netflix and I was like, dude, is this relevant? What are they talking about? They talk about fascism. They say that better a pig than a fascist. This is a dialogue that the Porco also says. Better a pig than a fascist. It's better to be a pig than to be a lunatic who talks about right wing and all of that. I'm not politically commenting here. I do not care about right or left wing. I just care about movies right now. And it's a beautiful movie. You must watch it. I think it was made in 1990s. Great movie. Very much similar to Spirited Away. I've watched both of them and I love both of them. It's very good. Very good.
I can't say much about this movie because I don't watch anime a lot.
Only watched two things. I have only watched two things: Spirited Away and Porco Rosso.
So let's move on to
So
the
who's
next
going
movie.
next?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I'd go first now.
Yeah, sure.
So I have talked about most of them. Let's talk about Dead Poet Society. Right. 1989 movie based on 1986 book, I think. I think you have seen it, right? You have seen
For a minute, I thought you were going to say Deadpool.
No. Dead Poets Society.
Yeah.
Robin
Pools?
Williams.
Yeah.
Deadpool Society. Yeah, it would be a great name for his third movie. Deadpool Society. Great.
They can catch him because वो लोग बहुत करते हैं. उन लोग ने first movie के end में आपको याद है post credits में he comes in that bathrobe and he says, "What are you still doing?"
That is a reference from a very old movie. I know that.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 1986. Loved it. Beautiful movie. Watch it. Okay. Another recommendation for you guys out there, for the three people apart from us. So I'm talking about Dead Poet Society. Another movie based on the book. Robin Williams in that movie with Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke before Sunrise. So it's a very, very good movie. Before Sunrise was obviously it was the name of his iconic movie. Dead Poet Society is a movie which is based in a school, right? And I do not want to comment on Yash Raj, but I think the idea of Mohabbatein came from this movie. somehow it's there.
They ripped
I
it
mean,
off, I
I'm
guess.
not
Yeah.
commenting. And yeah, it's kind of a rip-off. It's kind of a rip-off. There are
At this
differences.
point, we can insert that memes, right? That Poet Society, and then that Poet Society light, Mohabbatein.
True, very much, right?
I have seen that movie.
So there's this dialogue that goes like medicine, law, business, engineering. These are all noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
Yeah, man,
And
sure.
So it's from that
is-
movie. You know,
Yes, it is from that movie, man. And
I saw that image.
I have quoted this dialogue so many times in front of so many rishtedars, and I'm like, yes, it's good. Yes, it's necessary. But this is what we stay alive for, man.
And the
This is
rishtedars
what
are
is
like, "क्या
necessary."
कर रहा है आपका बेटा?"
And my parents are like, सही कर रहा है, करने दो, चुप रहो तुम लोग, ठीक है? So yeah, beautiful movie. And I love Friends, right? The TV show Friends.
Yeah.
But there was this episode in Friends where, both of you remember, we are all diehard friends of Friends here.
Sure.
So fans of Friends, right? So there's this episode where Monica has an impersonator. She steals Monica's identity and she's visiting places.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, I
that?
remember that
It's
episode.
in season 1. It's in season
Yeah,
1.
I think it's season 1. She tells Monica in one scene that I watched Dead Poet Society last year in the theater or something, and I have not watched a worse movie than that. I am not getting that 2.5 hours back from my life. And that is the second thing I hate about Friends. The only two things I hate about Friends. First thing being Ross and Rachel being the central couple. They are not. They are a very toxic couple. Make Monica and Chandler the central couple. They are the cutest, right?
Yeah, sure. I
So,
totally agree
secondly-
with that.
Yeah, man, you have to. Coming back to the movie, I disagree with that thing that she said, because Dead Poet Society, if you are a poetry fan, if you are a literature fan, and if you're a cinema fan, Dead Poet Society is a beautiful movie. It's very much, as we have kind of formed a loop here, it's like Mohabbatein, but it's much better than Mohabbatein.
much better.
There are iconic dialogues. There's this dialogue in the ending, "Oh Captain, my Captain," which was a poetry written by I think Lincoln or something. They all rise on the benches. Oh my God, that's beauty. That's cinematic beauty that we stay alive for.
Yeah.
I mean, Tarun Bhaiya, you must see it. I'm selling it.
Yeah.
I'm putting all my effort into this presentation. I hope you like it. I hope you go for it. You should see that movie. Beautiful
But I'm
movie.
gonna see all the movies that you guys have mentioned. I'm not being
Yeah,
formal, but literally.
I think that's the
Yeah,
whole
man.
point. That's the whole point that we are
That's the
organizing
whole
this
point, yeah.
podcast, right? And if somebody else other than three of us is listening this, you should make a list of what we have recommended,
Yeah.
and you should watch
We'll
it.
put this in the description. We'll put this in
Yeah.
the description also.
Sure, they'll thank us later.
Yeah, you can thank us later
Yeah.
by
Subscribing because we need them.
Yeah, you can subscribe to us and follow
But
us on Spotify. Our podcast is now available on Spotify and Pocket Cast also. I think we are. Yeah, I didn't mention it on stories, but it's available on Spotify, Pocket Cast, and it will soon be available. I guess it takes time on Apple Music also, but it will take time. So let's see.
So the another movie I'm going to mention is again a Tom Cruise starrer. I'm sorry for that. I don't know how many
We
of
all
you are
know.
Tom
We
Cruise
all know
fans.
you're a Tom Cruise fanboy.
And we are all biased, no? We are all biased towards things. You are biased towards Tom Cruise. I am biased towards the arty cinema.
I think
Vijay Bhaiya is biased.
I think
Yeah.
it comes from how you started watching movies. When I started
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
it
movies,
affects
he was
that,
the one
right?
actor I was looking to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's in our
comes
human
with the
nature,
age.
right? I think it's our
Yeah.
in subconscious we do that. Like we don't want to believe that we are biased,
It's-
but somehow we are. In some
Yeah.
point.
It's 2:30. No matter how hard we try, we are going to get philosophical tonight. I mean, that is what happens after 2 a.m.
I don't know why in every video you guys mention time.
Time is an illusion. Time is entangled. Time is real. Time is not real. We don't know what is time.
I wish we could talk about Christopher Nolan here, but sadly we can't.
We are going to. I am requesting Vijay Bhaiya to have a separate podcast
Yeah,
for Nolan.
sure. We
Because
will. We are gonna have.
we need to do that.
We have
we
too
will do
many
that after
recent-
Tenet comes out.
Yeah.
We
Sure.
will do that after Tenet comes
yeah.
out, because we will include Tenet also in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
true,
like
true.
I think we should go to watch that movie, and when we come out, like I think we should do a podcast.
At that night. Yeah.
Podcast at that point also, and we should add a segment where we ask the people, who have just came out of the cinema, that did you understood the movie or not, or did you just go for peer pressure? I think this is what I want to
include
do.
like a interviews.
And I want to include that in my YouTube video.
Yeah, we should.
That will be a really funny reaction, right?
And imagine doing that in front of World Trade Park, man. That would be a different kind of fun. Chapri boys and those Adidas superstars would be like, "Ye kya baat kar rahe ho, bhaiya?" That would have to be a separate
Remember
kind of fun, no? We are getting so bad here. We are including class in this. Okay? We are being very capitalistic tonight. We are insulting people so
I think
badly.
we are not being capitalistic. I think we are just being honest. Park, you remember the time we went to see Logan and the guys at the back seat were like, "Are Interstellar, bhai, are Interstellar, bhai. Interstellar क्या movies है?" Dude, Himanshu, you were not there. We went to watch Logan and then
You're making me jealous again.
Man, the guy,
You do this all
the guys
the time,
at the
man.
back,
You do.
the guys at the back.
it was feeling like that they have only seen the one movie.
and the guys didn't stop comparing it with other X-Men movies and Interstellar.
I mean, what is the relationship between
Yeah, I
Interstellar
don't
and X-Men
know.
movie?
Yeah, there was no point comparing. these two
I know what
movies.
was they were just trying to prove that they are a big movie buff. They watched Interstellar and they understood it. And the Christopher
That
Nolan
is what
fan.
we are trying to prove here. That is what we are trying to. That we are also movie buffs.
We are not trying to prove that. हाँ.
Tarun, yeah,
चलना शुरू करो, अपन बहुत distract हो गया.
yeah.
हाँ. So talking about War of the Worlds, I think one thing that Hollywood is great at is making alien movies. And this was the first alien movie that I saw. And it's not just an alien movie, it's a disaster movie. Okay? It takes you on a emotional trip, like how Tom Cruise, being a divorced father, is taking care of his children in such, tough conditions. So the movie is like a compilation of so many things. It's alien, there's disaster movie, there's even horror. Okay, there's one scene when the little goes by the river, and she saws the bodies flowing in the water. So that feels horrific at that time. That feels horrible at that time. I think combining all these elements, Steven Spielberg ended with a very great movie. It's also a survival movie. I don't know what that movie actually is. I don't know what his genre is. But
One
it is
more
so many
movie,
movies
I
at the
think
same time.
we can talk about Alien Invasion of Tom Cruise's. No.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of
Tomorrow.
With
But Edge of Tomorrow,
what's her name?
Edge of Tomorrow is more towards the sci-fi side. No,
Yeah.
War of the World is not much on the sci-fi side.
I
It's
think
just
what's her
alien
name? John Krasinski's wife. What's her name? Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt.
She's in that movie, right? She's in that
Yeah,
movie.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Great
Yeah.
movie. And talking about Tom Cruise and this kind of thing, there's this movie called Transcendence. I think Tom Cruise in this. No, Transcendence is a different movie. That's Johnny Depp. There's this movie.
Tom
of
Cruise had done a movie
where-
called Oblivion.
Yeah, I have
Oblivion.
seen Oblivion.
Exactly. Oblivion.
Now you guys know I'm a Tom Cruise fan.
Tom Cruise fan. Yeah, Oblivion.
Yeah.
And also talking about Transcendence. Transcendence is also a great movie. I won't say not a great movie. It's a good movie. Johnny Depp is in that. That also involves AI. Talking about AI, computers, all of that stuff. He lives on forever in that movie. That's a great movie. I just gave a big spoiler, but it's a great movie.
I think
I think the thing about War of the World is movie doesn't waste time on anything else. It starts rightly from its first moment. It starts off with the alien invasion kind of thing. How they have come in a war with the human race. So I think it is a great movie that I would recommend to all of you.
and I would like to end my list because I have two more movies to recommend. Is John Wick.
Kindest guy.
Yeah, the John Wick and The Matrix. And these movies are in my list because of the really, I know we said to not include the movies,
Mainstream movies.
mainstream movies, but I think Matrix is the movie that I believe is phenomenal, or it was really game changing in terms of CGI and graphics, at that point of time. It was revolutionary what they did at that point of time.
That's why the third part was called Matrix Revolution.
Revolution.
That's why the third part was called Matrix Revolution.
Let's not talk about third part. I think
That was really. And they're making a fourth part, and I
Fourth
think
one,
Priyanka Chopra
Priyanka
is in that.
Chopra is in it.
Priyanka Chopra is in that one, yeah. So I
Let
mean, I
let's
don't
just
know
hope. Let's
if,
just
if we
hope
should be proud
she's
about it, or we should be like, she should just don't fuck up,
no
man. I
no.
don't know what to
I
do about
think
it.
I think her role will be as much as it was in Baywatch.
Her role would be like Monica Bellucci's was in the second part. Remember Monica Bellucci's role in the second part, the reloaded one, or was it Revolutions?
It
Just a
was
small
Revolutions, I
part.
guess. It was, I guess, it
Revolutions,
was
right?
Revolutions. Yeah.
I don't care. I don't remember. Sorry, I do care, but I don't remember it. I
And when
think
I talk
Monica
about
Bellucci was there for like 2 scenes.
when I talk
Yeah.
about the
You talked about
Matrix,
Emma Stone and
when I talk about the Matrix, I don't talk about the whole trilogy. I just talk about the first part, and the second will be the John Wick, just because how they transformed the action genre in the Hollywood, because it's oversaturated. The action genre is
Yeah.
oversaturated. You can't think of something new or something innovative. It was at that point. And John Wick was like something new. Or trying something unique in that genre to make those fight scenes as realistic as possible, and
yeah.
the actor doing their own stunt as much as possible. Yeah, the other
It's a
actors.
legendary movie.
Yeah, man. And like,
Yeah.
fun fact, like, you know the number of body count, like the number of people he killed, was so much that they have to use the same body double again and again. People have already seen those movies, so I will be just wasting people's time to talk about it.
No, you're not wasting. That's what I was mentioning. Talking about the Matrix, there's that scene, that iconic scene when Morpheus sits just like this, and he's like red pill or blue pill.
Yeah.
That scene has so many layers under it. I mean,
Yeah.
this the first layer is that if you want to, do you want to live in a simulation, or you want to go up and live with us in the real world? Second is that, aren't we all living in a simulation? Not the Elon Musk simulation we're talking about, the simulation that we have created in our heads, that this should be like this and this has to be like this, and I will ignore
Or
that
would you
because I
like
do
to
not
wake up?
resonate with that. Yes, exactly. And would do I want to work for that, because that is what the world should work about. So many layers in that scene. I mean, and Morpheus, the name Morpheus, I mean, it derived from morphine or whatever, because great, man. Just awesome. That's awesome.
Okay.
So I would say, if you're done with that, I would like to go
Yeah, I'm
next,
done.
because I
Yeah,
have
sure.
I have two left. The second last movie that I want to recommend is the Darjeeling Limited. Right. So this is a movie directed by Wes Anderson, and I mean, you do know about Wes Anderson. If you do not know about Wes Anderson, I recommend
think I
you.
know.
Not you two. You do know. You do know.
Yeah.
Both of you know about Wes Anderson. I'm talking about the public, because I'm not sure Wes Anderson's movies are as mainstream as they should be. Like, that is art cinema. You look at it. You look at any scene in that movie. You can dissect the scene from the middle, and it will be a mirror image. Any scene in that, any scene in his entire movie history. He has made like 10, 11 good movies. You can draw a line through the center of the screen, and there will be a mirror image. He is a sucker for, what do you call that? Sucker for precision. Not symmetry, precision. He cares about where everything has to be in that scene. He's a perfectionist, a true perfectionist. And he has a love story with Jason Schwartzman and Adrian Brody and Owen Wilson. Three of them. All three of them are in this movie. And there's this one guy in this movie I want to talk about. His name is Irfan Khan. You might have watched the movie, you may have not noticed it. Irfan Khan plays a role of a guy for like 5 or 10 minutes, but he weaves magic. Right? Darjeeling Limited is shot in India, shot in Rajasthan, across borders. It's a train movie, right? They travel on a train. The Darjeeling Limited is the name of a train. They travel through Rajasthan desert and all of that area. Beautiful movie, beautiful ending, great movie. And the Darjeeling Limited is the only representative for Wes Anderson movies. I want you all to go and watch Wes Anderson's all movies, whether it be Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Royal Tenenbaums, like great movies, awesome movies. All of them have a similar premise. They are surrounded around family. Okay, a dysfunctional family, or a family trying to improve, a family trying to get through the hard times, like in Fantastic Mr. Fox. Fantastic Mr. Fox is an animated movie with George Clooney and Meryl Streep. So you can imagine the level of production that the movie has. It's an animated movie with George Clooney and Meryl Streep. So I mean, Wes Anderson is an awesome guy. I mean, I cannot comprehend the fact why do we not talk about Wes Anderson the same way we talk about Christopher Nolan. Yes, his movies are not as high grossing as Nolan's are, but his movies are equal to what Nolan makes. Yes, Nolan makes great science fiction movies, but he has a different genre. Wes Anderson has a different level of movies. He's a great guy. Watch all his movies. I mean, especially this one, Grand Budapest Hotel, Tenenbaums, and Fantastic Mr. Fox. Lovely movies. Tarunbia, anything you want to add to it, or anyone, Vijay?
I haven't seen that movie. It's quite. You are mentioning so many movies that I haven't watched, but I think I'll take it as a recommendation right now. You're just increasing my watch list right now, but that's okay.
No. Yeah. So next one, go for it. Next one. The last 2-3 movies we have left now.
Yeah. So my next movie is Catch Me If You Can. And it stars Leonardo DiCaprio alongside Tom Hanks. There's also a minor role of Amy Adams. I think it's a beautiful movie. I don't know why I keep mentioning that word again and again. I don't know why I keep mentioning that word again and again.
I love that.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you watch the movie, it seems like a very long movie. You're like, okay, it shows the entire lifetime of the life of that person, right from the school. It's actually a biopic, I guess. It's a biopic. It's based on a real story.
It's a real movie. It's a real story. Yes, it is.
It's a story of a con man. And man, you can't hate Leonardo DiCaprio in any movie. He is an amazing actor. Anyone who can overshadow Tom Hanks in a movie, I mean, isn't that a fabulous job? Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think why I love that movie a lot is because of Leonardo DiCaprio, the way he plays his avatars, we can say all the con images of himself. I think it's amazing the kind of effort he has put in the movie, the kind of story has gone. I think story might not can't alter with a biopic. You can't alter with the biopics. It has to be
Bollywood
the way
does. Bollywood does.
I think that's why we don't watch them.
You can't alter, to a certain extent. You need to keep that story as close to being realistic as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They did add some aspect which to spice things up or to make it more entertaining, like.
Yeah.
But
they didn't do anything with that movie. They didn't alter it any way, and it's great how the movies go from its first scene till the end of the scene.
One thing I noticed while watching it, like I felt like the height of Leonardo was too short. I don't know. I felt
he is too short. He's 5'2" or 5'3". I think. I don't think he's taller than that.
And because I think he was just a child. I think he was playing a role of a child.
He was portraying a role of child, so he has to did some kind of, I don't know what kind of thing.
And he was our age when he did that movie. He was our age, I think. He was 23, 24, 25, I think.
A slight older, I guess, 26 or 27.
That came out in 2000.
That came out in 2002. Titanic came in 1997, and by the time of Titanic, he was in the early 20s, 21 or 22.
He's 43 right now, so 17 years ago.
Leonardo is 6 feet, man. Leonardo is 6 feet. I just checked his height. Yeah, he's 6 feet tall.
He doesn't look like 6 feet.
In the movie, he doesn't because of the age gap.
He never does. He looks so short in front of the other actors. He feels like he's 5'2" or 5'3".
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, but that doesn't
never noticed that, but I just
So now as we are in the flow, and I have already mentioned I have completed my list. I think Tarun, you should go on with your last movie, right? Or the movie which is, I think this movie is the closest to your heart, so I think you should go on with it.
I think this was the most expected movie that was supposed to be in my list. I was afraid
everyone who knows you knows which movie we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
So this movie is called 500 Days of Summer, and While I was choosing my list, I was afraid ki I don't know how this movie would fit in with the rest of the movies. Like I have Zodiac and Knives Out, Catch Me If You Can, all different kind of movies. And 500 Days of Summer is such an innocent movie. Okay, and why I feel so connected to the 500 Days of Summer is because how it is close to the reality. Okay, we see hundred of romantic movies. When we see a movie like Fault in Our Stars, okay, that's not something that you see every day.
Yeah,
But 500 Days of Summer, the story of that movie is like many of us experiences ourselves. Many of that thing is so common. The thing is too common. And the best part about the movie is many of the people see it as a one-sided love story, but it is not. It is not about one-sided love. The movie is much more about beliefs. I've seen that movie first. At first, I also thought that it is just about a one-sided love story, how the girl is breaking the heart of a guy. So when you see it couple of times, 2 or 3 times, you get to understand the story, that what's actually going behind the scene. Behind the scenes is what has been shown on the screen. It not exactly what the director is trying to say to you, but there's something that you have to think. I think maybe you will get that once you see the movie
yeah,
more
yeah,
than
we have seen. Yeah,
the expected times.
I
No one
still
watched the movie
remember.
more
I
than
still
once.
remember the point when you recommended it to me. At the beginning of the movie, I was going through a different stream of the emotions, and at the end,
Yeah,
my emotions were flipped. To be really honest,
true.
Yeah, I watched
because
that movie before I knew Tarun Bhaiya very well. Yeah, we knew because you were my senior, so I knew who
yeah,
you were. But we were
Yeah,
not in this movie talking terms. We
yeah,
just talked
yeah.
about school and what was going on in school. And I watched this movie pretty late. I mean, not pretty late. It came out in 2000, what, 13, 14? When did it
10,
come out?
10. It came out in
10.
2010.
So I
Just
watched it in
completed 10 years.
2014. 14 or 15. I was in 11th or 12th standard. So that's great. It completed 10 years. I didn't know about it. I mean, I am a fan, but I didn't know about this.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
whatever. So movie that movie is a very personal movie for so many people because
yeah,
either you have been Summer or you have been the other. What was the name of the guy? So you have been one of those
Tom.
person, Tom. So
Then
either you
again,
have been
Tom.
Summer or you have been Tom in your lives. Okay,
Yeah,
either you have broken someone's heart or your heart has been broken. So you
yeah,
relate to both of them at the same time. You're like, yeah, at this moment she's right, and at this moment he's right.
yeah.
And
But
second thing I love
but
about that movie is the love both of them share for the Smiths, the band. I
yeah,
true.
love the Smiths. That is such a great band and so underrated when it comes to the Smiths is always compared to the Beatles or AC/DC, and all three of them are very different. You cannot compare
yeah.
Smiths and Beatles. Smiths are very different. Beatles are very different.
I'm
So that
more
is
into
something.
AC/DC to be honest.
Yeah. Two things you mentioned, like at first when you're watching the movie, you feel like picking sides. Okay, he's
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
or no,
yeah. We
maybe she's
always do.
right.
Like
It happens naturally. It happens naturally. Like you end up
we
picking up
just
sides.
talked about
At
being
the-
biased, right? Yeah,
Bias,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
and we do get biased. We feel like, okay, how bad she is doing to him. Okay,
yeah,
but we miss the part because I saw an interview of both the actors, Zoe Deschanel and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. They say the movie is not what's going on the screen. It's going what's the thing. It's movie is trying to display the thinking of a person. There is a scene in the movie. I'm sorry if I'm talking a bit more about this movie,
no, no,
but
you should.
there is a scene. But there is a scene in that movie where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is sitting with his friend and he says like she just had sex last weekend. She's like, how can you say that? I asked her what she did last weekend and she was like, it was good. So it tells about what kind of thinking a person is going through. It talks about so many things. So I think that is the beauty of the movie. It is portraying something else, but in the back of the hand, at the back of the head, it makes you think of something else which is not on the screen. I think it's maybe too much of observation that a person has
No,
to do
no,
when you
it's fine. I
while a
mean, 500
person.
Days of Summer, 500 Days of Summer is a movie where we are talking about 500 days. Like, let's
Yeah,
break it down to the basics. We are talking about
yeah,
500 days that the guy Tom spends with Summer
mm,
and after Summer. That
true.
he moves on from her. So you
Yes,
have to go in depth. You have to talk about how he fell in love, how they were together, and how what happened to him after she left.
I
So
really
that
like.
yeah,
has to be. That has to be. Yeah, the theme is great, and what happened on the 501st day when he meets Autumn is
Autumn.
I
another
think it
story.
was really
Is
cliche
another
ending. The ending was
cliche.
really
Yes, it
cliche.
was cliche,
Yeah.
but you
I
were not
think they should have
expecting. You
ended.
were not expecting. You were not expecting Autumn to come after
Autumn,
summer,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
expecting
see, that
winter.
is such.
See,
Winter is coming.
Yeah.
Winter has gone.
Winter has fucked up.
Man, let's not talk about season 8.
Yeah.
not fucked
yeah.
up or hooked up.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, I think what this two things that I want to mention is one, the as Himanshu mentioned, the music. The music of the movie is so amazing. I mean, the way they have used the different 80s and 90s, not 90s, 80s music, 80s and 70s music they have included in such a modern film. It feels so surreal, but it feels amazing. Yeah,
about the
I think
ending.
the
About the ending.
director about the ending. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the ending should have been, if you remember the movie, the bench scene
Yeah, yeah.
where they two meet for
Yeah,
the last
Yeah.
time. I think
it
that's
should
where
have
the
ended.
movie should have ended. That's something
I
that La
think.
La Land does. They ended at the separation, right?
Yeah, don't tell me, man. I've not watched it. Just spoiled it for
But
me.
but like
Cardinals.
I think no no
तो
no it's
मेरे को तो
okay.
खराब कर दे, काट तो देंगे इसको. कमाल कर रहे हो यार.
So I think
Talking about the 70s, 80s music, that is one thing I like about Perks of Being a Wallflower also. They
Yeah.
use such underrated songs, and that is one of the major plots of the movie. That they, all three of them, two of them are half brother and half sister. Emma Watson, Ezra Miller were half brother, half sister. Tom and the guy, what was his name in the movie? Logan Lerman's, whatever the character's name was, he was a friend. The point that they connect about the most is their love for the music from 70s and 80s, the love for the music that is lost. And I personally have found so many songs through that movie in my playlist that you both love, that you keep telling me that you love my playlist, that like 10 or 15 songs from that playlist are because of that movie. And see, let's not go back to Perks of Being a Wallflower, but 500 Days of Summer had done the same thing for me. It gave me Smiths, it gave me underrated song of Smiths, and it gave me some other songs from the 70s, 80s band. And just that, when, yeah, as you said, when a movie combines old songs with the modern
The modern
relationship
age,
or
yeah.
modern life era, it feels
Yeah.
surreal, because that is what we do every day. We
Yeah.
spend our lives listening to those 70s, 80s songs in our headphones, walking through life, and we think that this is a music video, and that is what we see on screen, and that is very different. That is a very, very good feeling when you watch it on screen.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think the
unique
director-
experience we feel in ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a first movie. I don't. Maybe it was the first directorial debut of a Mark Webb as a director, and I think he has done an amazing job. The kind of preference is given to attention to details. I think there's awesome. There is one scene before the meme got popular. There was a one scene in the movie which goes like reality and expectations, and that is the
Yeah.
that is the most
Split screen.
that is, yeah, I think that is the more realistic and any director could be. That is the more realistic any director could be, to show you the comparison between the two. And obviously,
talking about Mark Webb. Yeah, talking about Mark Webb. If you guys have not seen our previous podcast, the Spider-Man podcast, it's not because it's Webb is related to Spider-Man. I'm
Yeah.
not that bad, a punster. But it's because Mark Webb directed Homecoming. You should go and watch that movie. Watch that podcast first. Watch the movie later. It's not good. Watch the podcast.
So Himanshu, I think we should end this podcast with the last movie
Yeah.
of your recommendation. Yeah.
Yes. So my last movie is a movie that is not a movie. It is a life story. It is a life story of a guy called Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Loved it.
Another, yeah, yeah, exactly. Another movie from Tom Hanks, and the director was Mark Zemeckis. Mark Zemeckis was the guy who made Back to the Future series franchise. Great director, great actor. Starts off from a guy who is mentally slow and physically disabled, and it went on. The movie goes on through his life, what he does when he's 12 years old, what he does when he's 13 years old, 15 years old, 17 years old. Then he goes to Vietnam for the war. Then he comes back, he becomes a table tennis player. And all of that is amalgamated
Yes.
into the real scenario of what was happening in America through those
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Such such a great use of CGI in 1990s, guys. I mean, come on, how would you even use CGI back then? Such great editing, such great acting, of
Storytelling.
course, acting, and
I think CGI
storytelling is
wasn't the
awesome.
main focus. I think the main focus was still the
Exactly.
storytelling, right?
But CGI is where they could have lost it. They could have lost the battle at CGI. If the graphics and if the footage did not look real, we could have discarded the movie. We could have like अच्छे से काम तो किया नहीं. Let's not watch this movie. Secondly, Robin Wright. If you do not know who Robin Wright is, you should see House of Cards.
I've
House of
seen
Cards
it.
is where Robin Wright is in an element. Forrest Gump is where you will hate Robin Wright. Robin Wright messes up Forrest's life. She uses him whenever she wants to. She is a very toxic person. She gives him a child and everything, and that is not a spoiler because you have seen the posters. It's Forrest is sitting with this child. There's a Bollywood remake coming out of it. Amir Khan is making it. Amir Khan is a good actor. He makes good movies. He just makes good movies. I mean,
Yeah.
he goes 0.1% above average, and we hail him as a god. He's good. He's great. I mean, he's great with the Bollywood standards. There are much better guys. There are guys out there making great cinema like Anand Gandhi. Anand Gandhi is a guy who made Ship of Theseus Tumbad and now he's making a new movie. Forrest Gump is a movie which you should watch when you are enjoying your leisure time.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
So there are three or four kinds of things. Like where you're free, you're busy, you're chilling out like we are chilling out here, or you're enjoying your leisure time. Okay? Free is when you're not doing work, busy is when you're busy. Simple as that. Leisure is something that you sit out there and you're like, man, life's good. That is what Forrest Gump feels like.
When
For
you
the
watch it, yeah.
entirety of the film, when for the entirety of the film, you're like, man, life is good. Okay? It's a loop.
It's a
That
really
you watch the
long
movie
movie.
and
It's a
then you
really
will feel
long.
good. It is a long movie. That's why I use the leisure time word
Yeah.
because if when you need to have a time span for it. You need to watch the movie. You need to contemplate what you just watched. Right? You cannot just after Forrest Gump you're like out there and doing your stuff. You need to have like 15-20 minutes after that movie. Such a deep movie, moving movie. Like when it's a loop, if you watch the movie, you will feel good, and if you're feeling good, go watch the movie. If you have not seen it yet, I do not recommend watching it three times. You can watch it twice. Don't go for 3 times then because it gets boring. Because it's and talking about Forrest Gump, it came out in 1994, and 1994 was one of the greatest years of 20th century. Why I'm saying this? In 1994, Forrest Gump came out, Shawshank Redemption came out, Pulp Fiction came out, and Friends started, the TV show. Such a great year, and
You could have
Pulp
just said
Fiction.
that Friends started, and we could have believed that 1990 was a great year.
I know, but I had to prove my point, and the best has to come at the last, right? So,
yeah.
Pulp Fiction and Shawshank Redemption, you must see three things. These three movies were competing at Oscars at the end for the best movie. Everyone was thinking that Shawshank Redemption is gonna win, right? I think Shawshank Redemption won. ये वाला कार्ड
Everyone-
आई थिंक शॉशैंक रिडेम्पशन वन हाँ इसको फॉरेस्ट गंप नहीं जीता था शॉशैंक रिडेम्पशन जीता अच्छा मैं वापस बोलता हूँ इसको these three movies came out and everyone was like whichever movie wins it's gonna be a victory for Hollywood because all of these three movies are such
great movies.
pieces of art and to come out in the same year it's unfair to the judges to pick one. I don't remember. I think they picked Shawshank Redemption, but whatever they picked, we love all these three movies.
Yeah.
Right. So that is something. I'm ending it at recommending three movies when I started at one. But yeah, you should watch these movies, especially for a
And like after this comes to the end of our podcast. This episode 2 of Water with VJ Buddies. So please make sure to watch the movies that we all have recommended. They are unique in their own ways, and we will be adding more movies, and we will be coming with more such episode where we will be talking about our favorite list of the movies. So don't feel like कि ये वाली तो add नहीं करी. Don't you think that this one is a much better movie
Yeah.
or like that? Because we will be talking about that. We have a really short span
Yeah.
of time as compared to like it is about. We have been talking about more than an hour, but like in that span of time,
I think
we
it's
could
been 2 hours.
yeah, it's been more than that, and we can only talk about 21 movies we have talked about in that point of time span. and I think more than 21 because of Himanshu. And some great TV shows too. And some great TV shows too. So
And some great books too, and
please,
some good music
so
too.
yeah,
Arey,
sure.
sorry.
Man. No, why are you being sorry, man? It's
It's good.
इसी में तो मजे आते हैं ना, like.
Yeah.
And so if you
I
guys
think-
want to see more or listen more, because it's just a beginning, the quality may not be as good as most of the podcast, but we will be keep bringing such more episodes. If you like it, please hit subscribe, like, comment, and yeah, please follow us on Spotify. You can find that, and you can listen to us on.
And also follow our Instagram accounts.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
forget.
Yeah, and
yeah,
one thing about quality, the quality of whatever you are used to watching on YouTube or anything, the quality will not be compared to that, but our efforts are much more than
Much
that,
higher.
because we have
And the quality-
guys working there. We have only one editor, one director, one host, which is only one guy, which is Vijay Bhaiya. Me and Tarun, we just come here with Tarun Bhaiya, and we just come here and we just blatter out what we have in our heads. And the quality of the movies we have recommended is much higher than
much higher.
yeah.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Maybe they are our personal choices, personal recommendation, but they are without a doubt a great movies. I think they wouldn't disappoint you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Some of them are really underrated. Yeah.
Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe.
We will be back with another
Comment
episode with
all the-
water with VJ buddies.